Clark Kent is a bullshit journalist.
DweebCast.
Superman is the granddaddy of superheroes. One of the greatest of all time. But something that no one ever takes Clark Kent to task for? He's a terrible reporter.
In just about every iteration of the story, Clark Kent just walks into the Daily Planet, he asks them for a job, and they give it to him. That just does not happen for reporters. I used to be one, and I actually tried that when I first started. I went into my local paper, I asked them for a job, you know what they told me? To go f myself.
The Daily Planet is like the DC Universe version of the New York Times. Do you know how hard it is to get a job at the New York Times? People work for years toiling at local tiny papers just to get jobs as copy desk assistants.
Clark Kent has zero journalism training. He's never been to J school. In most versions of the story, he's never written news copy before in his life. And guess what? Writing news copy is hard.
Maybe we're looking at this wrong though. If Clark Kent could get a job at the Daily Planet without any specialized training and zero experience, maybe it's the guy who hired him who's at fault.
Perry White is a bullshit journalist.
In all this action, when does Clark ever actually find the time to write any stories? I mean, I get it, he became a reporter so he could keep an eye on everything that was going on in the world and then zip off to save somebody when a disaster happened.
Which is fine, which is great actually. Except he's still a reporter, and eventually someone over there at the Planet is gonna force him to earn his keep and actually file a story. And if he's out there saving the world all the time, there's just no time to do that.
And that's the thing, as a reporter, if you blow a deadline, your job is in jeopardy. If you're out blowing them all the time because you're flying around destroying Metropolis and snapping Zod's neck, it's not gonna work out well for you. One of the biggest things you learn in J school is that the story should not be about you.
Remember in Superman the movie when he shows up for an interview with Lois at her apartment, when he's kind of checking out her underwear using his X-ray vision, which is pretty creepy. But anyway, look, he's a journalist. And he's allowing another journalist, a coworker no less, to write an entire story based on the information she got from this interview.
And never once does he think about how he's putting Lois's job in jeopardy.
That's like Geraldo Rivera going down to cover Hurricane Katrina and then interviewing all the ladies he gave mustache rides to, which I actually would probably watch.
Of course, Clark is bumping uglies with Lois Lane, we all know that. And this is nothing new. Usually the only people sad and dejected enough to sleep with reporters are other reporters, so that's actually probably fairly accurate.
Superman is sleeping with the ace reporter who just happens to be the person who covers all of his epic feats of superheroism. And that's not okay.
And don't forget the fact that Clark is having sex with a woman who actively thinks that he is somebody else. Can you imagine if something like this happened in real life? Dude would go to jail.
Not only is he inserting himself into all of her stories, he's also inserting himself into her.
Okay, look, even if you're good enough to somehow get a byline at a huge daily paper, even though you've never professionally written anything in your entire life, you're only as good as the people around you.
Clark works with a bunch of idiots. Sure, Lois Lane figured out his secret almost immediately in Man of Steel, and good for her. But what about the rest of them? Perry White, Steve Lombard, Jenny.
They all watch Lois kiss Superman at the end, and then they say nothing about it when the exact same guy rolls up the next day just wearing glasses. Yeah, cool disguise, bro. Clark could not be more terrible at being a reporter, and these days, there's really no reason he should be one.
Look, Clark, why don't you get yourself a job where no one actually cares if you, show up or deliver results? Why don't you become an elected official?
Or an in-home care nurse.
Or an airline pilot.
Or the host of a show called DweebCast.
And Clark, if you want to know what's going on in the world, a newspaper newsroom is probably the last place you want to be. Just join Twitter, bro.
This has been DweebCast's bullshit moments in superhero history. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at DweebCast. Watch our show at Ora.TV/DweebCast. Thought-provoking content for the dweeb in you. As always, I'm Andy Riesmeyer. We will see you later.